something, I guess. Good morning and welcome to the Resource event, the event where we show you how to use social media and artificial intelligence in your job search. For those that are not so familiar with Resource, we're a not-for-profit organisation based in North London, but we're online so we can help people all over the country. We're a very professional organisation, very confidential, very supportive, and all our services are free. We have a huge amount of experience, having helped over 15,000 people over the past 30 years into employment. And our team is very knowledgeable, very experienced, and very happy to be here today to help and share that information and knowledge with you. I'm Lynn Geyer, I'm part of the Resource team, and I'm delighted to be facilitating this session this morning. First of all, we'll have our keynote speaker, followed by one of our resource advisors sharing with you what employers want to know and giving you some top tips from their perspective. We'll then have another member of the resource team sharing you and talking about the tool that everyone's talking about, artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. I will then come back and talk to you about face-to-face networking, and then we will have a question and answers to the panel. So please do write your questions into the chat, and my colleague will collate them and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can at the end of the session. I'd now like to introduce our very wonderful guest speaker today, Shoshana Davis. Shoshana is the founder of the Fairy Job Mother, a platform to empower young professionals with the skills and mindset to stand out, get hired and progress in their careers. Shoshana started the Fairy Job Mother over her frustration with a lack of relevant career guidance and the resources available for students at school, university and post-education. She uses all of her learnings from her 6+ years progressing in the corporate world, working for Fortune 500 companies, not-for-profits and startup organizations. She is also the founder of FJM Digital, an employer branding agency that specializes in helping employers attract early career talent through innovative marketing. So please give a very, very warm welcome to Shoshana Davis.
Hi everyone, thank you Lynn for the introduction. Georgie, if you could please move to the next slide. Well, Lynn gave me a great introduction, so I don't really feel like I have much to add to that, to be honest, apart from the fact that do not worry, you are in good hands. Maybe some of you were a bit like, oh, you know, Shoshana only specializes in working with younger people, and I know that this audience is probably a variety of ages. Do not worry, you are in good hands. As well as doing Fairy Job Mother, I've spent about the past year working with some government organisations supporting individuals on universal income in all different types of situations. So I do have experience working across ages. But yeah, Lynn basically covered everything. I've been running Fairy Job Mother for 2 years, and however, I recently left my full-time corporate job to pursue this full-time, which I'm really excited to do. And I'm really excited to be spending the next 30 minutes with you all. Georgie, if you could please move on to the next slide. Okay, so obviously the topic of today is all things social media and your job search. So you may be sat here thinking, you know, why do I actually need social media in my job search? I know how to apply for jobs. I know how to apply for jobs online. I click apply, you know, that's it. However, social media is super important for these 3 main reasons, and I'm going to be diving into each of these throughout the presentation. So the first one is that social media is really useful during your job search to help you build your personal brand and also to increase your industry visibility. So by a personal brand, I pretty much mean, what an employer, what a colleague would say about you if you weren't in the room. So a personal brand is essentially a mixture of your skills, your values, and your expertise. So being active on social media is very helpful to build your personal brand when you're looking for a job. The next one is about strengthening your commercial awareness and industry acumen. As you know, lots of things get shared on social media, and it's a great way to boost up your industry knowledge and commercial awareness. So if you are somebody that is active online, you are going to be fully aware of what is happening in your industry, which is then going to act as an advantage to you in interviews, in job applications, etc., because you know what's going on, right? And then finally, social media is amazing because it allows you to connect with employers in a really unique way, like never before. And I'm going to be going through some of the platforms that enable you to do these things. Okay, so before we get started, I do think it's really important to caveat and give a heads up. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to be going through a couple different social media channels. By no means do I expect you to be on every single one of these channels every day throughout your job search. That is not the case. You do not have to be active on every single social media platform out there to be successful in your job search. I think what's going to be really important today is that you take in, the features of each platform, and then based on your situation or based on your industry, you then make an informed decision of, okay, I would like to focus on this platform, or I'd like to focus on these two platforms. But you don't need to be on every platform. Okay, so the first platform we are going to start with is LinkedIn, which I'm sure you are all familiar with. So just a quick intro to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is pretty much the world's largest professional platform, social media platform on the internet. And you can do many things on LinkedIn. One of the main kind of value adds on LinkedIn, I would say, is that you're actually able to tap into a network of both professionals, companies, and groups with and beyond your industry. And then you can also share your own content too, which is one of my favorite things about LinkedIn. I think one thing, in my opinion, that's important to note is LinkedIn as a platform has actually evolved over the past 1 to 2 years. So yes, it still is a professional platform. However, it's evolved into something more. So LinkedIn just used to be a platform where you look for jobs, but now it's focused a lot more on posting, content creation, and relatable content, right? So in my opinion, I personally think LinkedIn has gone from business formal to more of a business casual. And that's actually really beneficial from a job searching perspective because it allows you to throw some personality in and relate to employers more, and not just think you have to be this kind of corporate person who doesn't have much of a personality, which you know what I mean. So yeah, Georgie, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so before we go into some of the interesting features of LinkedIn, I definitely do think it's important to, know how to create a standout profile. Your profile is pretty much your landing page. So if you apply to a job, chances are they're going to have, they're going to do a search on LinkedIn and they're going to look for your profile and they're going to check and kind of make sure, okay, what is this individual about? What's on their CV, is that aligned to what's on their online profile? So it's really important that you have a strong landing page, aka profile, and there's a couple ways that you can do that. So I'm just going to briefly walk through some of the LinkedIn features. So this is actually my profile from about a year and a half ago, when I was in the corporate world, when I was in more of a job searching mode. Now my profile looks a bit different because I'm a business owner, but I thought this would be a good example. So the first kind of piece of your landing page or your profile is this image right here at the top with the arrow called your header. So your header is a really good opportunity for you to kind of grab people, right? So choose an image that represents you, your personality, and what you do. Some people will even go onto websites like Canva and create their own graphics and images that include their email address or their contact number or keywords that relate to their job titles. So that header is a really good first opportunity to grab people. The next thing is your profile picture. So that is that circle there of me looking a bit different. I was a brunette back then. And here you want to choose a photo of yourself that represents you in a good light. So no selfies or no group photos, something that you can clearly be seen as yourself. Now, slightly below that is your headline. So this is really, really important, your headline, right? Because recruiters use LinkedIn for many different ways. For example, if a recruiter has a job to fill, sometimes they will often go to LinkedIn to source candidates, to source people to reach out to. So they may do a search of, people with marketing background, and they'll click search, and probably likely hundreds of people will come up, right? But really what's going to draw them in is that headline. And what you have to say about yourself. So this is very important. So you want to choose a headline that represents your current situation, and maybe, if you're currently unemployed at the moment, then you might want to include the type of roles that you're looking for, because that's going to help you from a keyword perspective. Recruiters look for keywords and you're going to come up as a match. And even you can add in there the skills you have to really optimize that headline. And then below that is an open to work section. So this is a feature that allows you to show recruiters that you are open to work, and you are also able to select the type of job roles, job titles that you're interested in. If you are somebody that's maybe currently employed and is looking for another job, you can actually select your open to work so that only recruiters can see it, so that it hides it from anyone in your organization and anyone else but a recruiter. So that's very important to know. Next is your about section. So this is, for me, I think this is a chance for you to tell your story, right? Add some personality, show your passion for the industry, and really educate employers on your value. So really think about, what's my story? Why am I in this industry, and what value can I bring? You probably may have seen lots of different types of about sections. Some are more formal than others. However, for me, in my opinion, I think this section is a chance for you to showcase personality and make you stand out. And then next, finally, here is the featured section. This is a really cool section because it actually allows you to show off what you can do to employers. So here you're actually able to link relevant media that help you tell your story. For example, you can link any type of web link to this feature. So say in an old job, did you help them design their new website? You can link that. Or were you involved in a project that was featured in the news? You can add that. You can add images, presentations. So this is a really, really cool feature because it allows you to show off to employers what you do. So if you have any material that you can think of that would be valuable, I would really encourage you to utilize this section. Next slide, please, Georgie. Okay, and then just second, I'm not, so for those of you that maybe are not familiar with LinkedIn profiles as a whole have many different sections. So for the sake of time, I'm not going through every single section here that a LinkedIn profile has. I'm kind of going through the most important ones. So next section is the experience section. So this is kind of a little bit similar to your CV. So it gives you an opportunity to detail your previous work experience. Here, I very much encourage you, when you were kind of writing out your work experience and what you did, to really focus on results as opposed to responsibilities, and try and integrate numbers and percentages if possible. For example, if you are somebody that recently maybe had a part-time job in a shop, then instead of just saying, manage the checkout and tills and process sales, could you quantify that and say, communicated with over 50 customers per week, providing expert product advice and recommendations, resulting in over £100 worth of sales, right? That just says so much more to you as a potential employee. And employers don't care about your responsibilities. They care about what you did with those and then the results you were able to achieve. That's what differentiates you. So strongly encourage you to focus on results when you're filling out that experience section. Next, there is an education section. So here you have the opportunity to add information about your education, your degree, if you think that's relevant. I do want to add here that you don't actually have to include the date that you graduated if you don't want to. It doesn't make you. So you can just put your university and your degree, and that's it. If you are maybe somebody that's slightly older and you're concerned about, you know, your age being a limiting factor, you don't have to do that. And then finally, moving on to skills and endorsements. So this section is really important. So it allows you an opportunity to add skills, that the skills that you have essentially, that are relevant to your experience and to the roles you're applying for. So you can actually add these skills, and then you can get your friends, people in your network to endorse you. So what that means is they're clicking on that skill and they're saying, yes, Shoshana, you are good at that skill. Why is this important? Well, it's important because, again, from a recruiter perspective, recruiters use LinkedIn to source candidates. Sometimes when they are doing a search, they will look for people with specific skills. So they'll say, I'm hiring for a marketing manager role. Bring me up a list of people who have marketing strategy on their profile, right? And the fact that you have that on your profile, and then if you have endorsements for that, that pushes you up the page in search results, because LinkedIn deems you a more suitable candidate for that role, if that makes sense. And then finally, another important section is recommendations. So this is one of my favorite features of a LinkedIn profile, because it actually allows you to ask other people to endorse you and essentially provide credibility to potential employers and potential clients. So here, you would go to the bottom of your profile, you click request recommendation, and you can search anybody and you can send a request. So the type of people you may ask for a recommendation might be old colleagues, they could be university lecturers, they could even be family friends, anyone who is going to be able to vouch for you in a positive way. In addition to that, there are also other sections on your LinkedIn profile, like you can add volunteering sections, you can add certifications, etc. But just for the sake of time today, I will not be going into those in detail. Okay, so now let's move on to some of LinkedIn's core features to help you with your job search. So one of my favorite things about LinkedIn is the fact that you can literally find absolutely any person in any company in any part of the world. I can't think of any way you would ever be able to do that if LinkedIn didn't exist, to be honest. And there's a couple ways that you can do this. So the first way you can do this is through company pages. So say, for example, you know, maybe you are somebody that has recently been made redundant, and you previously worked in the tech industry, so you'd like to get back into that. And you might have thought, okay, there's a couple companies that I want to work for. One of them is Google, the example I have here. So all you need to do is you need to go onto LinkedIn, head to the search bar, and you would type in Google. Then click search, and it's going to come up with an official page for Google, as shown here. And there is a tab at the top. So we have home, about, post, jobs, life. You would then go and click on people. When you click on people, there's a little search box below, and there you can type in a job title, you can type in a name, you can type in a department, you can type in a year, and you're going to press enter. So for example, here I've added marketing manager, you click enter, and what this is going to do is it's going to bring up every single person that works at Google, which is a marketing manager essentially. And then of course Google's a big company, so there you can filter it down to country, you can filter it down to specific location. Now you may be thinking, why would I want to do this, right? Well, there's a couple reasons why you'd want to do this. Number one, this is really useful if you are looking to grow and build your industry network, right? So if you're looking for a job, these potential people might be people that you want to connect with. Also, if you have applied for a job, say in the marketing department. This may be a good opportunity for you to actually go and find out who is likely to be the hiring manager, so that you can then, you know, send them a message, let them know that you've recently applied for this job, and give them a few reasons as to why you're a good fit, and say that you look forward to hearing back from them. So would definitely recommend using the company people feature. It's very, very valuable. And yeah, I love it. The next feature of LinkedIn, which I think is really, really, actually, sorry, I did actually miss something out. So obviously the company page has this people feature, but also company pages allow you to gain a really good insight into the company, what it's about, the culture. So here at the tab where I have people highlighted, to the left, you could either click on posts or life, and that's going to bring up a whole range of posts, really letting you know about the company and giving you a complete insight into what it's like to work there. So again, that's really useful for interviews, etc. Okay, so let's move on. So my next really favorite feature about LinkedIn is the LinkedIn Alumni Network tool, right? So if you are somebody who is looking for a job, you are looking to grow your network, what better way to find people to potentially help you that you could tap into than people that went to your, the same uni, right? You already have something in common with those people. So all you need to do again is go to the search bar, type in your university. You will then navigate to the alumni tab, and just like the company tab, the company feature I spoke about before, you can type in anything. You can type in company name, job title, etc. So say again, if you were looking for a job at Google, you could type in Google, and that's going to bring up everybody that works at Google that is an alumni of your university. And again, you can then reach out to those people. You already have something in common with them, and you could ask for a referral or ask for a networking call. So those are really important features. Next slide, please, Georgie. Okay, and then just some other really useful LinkedIn tips are, of course, LinkedIn is great for searching for jobs. So at the top of your LinkedIn profile, there is a job section. So what you want to do is you click on that. You can then use the search bar to type in your industry or type in a specific role, and it's going to come up with all of the different jobs out there published. And then there are also various filter features. So you can filter by experience level, you can filter by remote or in person, you can filter by company. And then also at the top there, which I've highlighted in red, you can also actually set alerts. So what that means is if you click on that, it means you'll get an email every time a new job posting related to your search happens. So these alerts are actually really good to keep on top of, because if you manage to see a job and you're one of the first applicants, then your application is probably a lot more likely to get looked at. So would definitely recommend setting LinkedIn job alerts. And then a final LinkedIn feature I think is really, really good is just the search bar, really. So you can type in anything into the LinkedIn search bar. One thing that I do definitely recommend is looking for hiring managers that are hiring, right? So typically, a lot of the time, a hiring manager will come onto LinkedIn and they'll write, "I'm hiring," sometimes before HR's even had an opportunity to post the job on LinkedIn or post the job on the website. They'll do a post and say they're hiring and invite people to contact them, right? So this is giving you an advantage. So all you need to do to find this out is you go to LinkedIn, go to the search bar, you will type in "I'm hiring" and then insert, your desired job title, click enter. You then filter by posts. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring up, literally tens and hundreds of posts related to the job posting you're looking for of those that are hiring, and you can hopefully reach out to them directly and get your application in there first. Okay, Georgie, let's move on, please. Okay, cool. So Facebook. So obviously, I'm going to quickly zoom through this. Facebook is a social networking site, but it's also a platform with some unique job searching features, which I'm about to go through in a second. Next slide, please. Okay, so some top tips for Facebook are, one of my favorite features of Facebook for job searching is Facebook groups. So really easy to find Facebook groups. So for example, if you are somebody that is looking for a job, really easy. You just need to log into your Facebook, go to the search bar, type in, jobs in Stanmore or jobs in London, click enter, and it's going to bring up a variety of Facebook groups that you can join, which are made up of local business owners that are looking to hire. Another thing that you can also use Facebook groups for is to increase your industry knowledge. So again, go onto Facebook, type in the search bar your industry. So for example, at the bottom, I have an example, marketing, click enter. And what's going to come up is, 10 to 20 groups, all about marketing, that publish industry news, that publish job posts, which publish online courses. And by joining those groups, you are going to really increase your industry knowledge and, of course, network and meet other people. And then another really interesting feature on Facebook for job searching, I would say, is actually your ability to interact with employers directly via their Facebook company pages. So a lot of the time when employers are hiring, on their company page, they will post the job, right? So if there is a company that you have in mind that you really want to work for, make sure that you are following them on Facebook so that you'll be notified when they're hiring. And also, actually, another thing you can do, and that I've seen people do, which I think is quite cool, is if there's a company that you're genuinely a fan of, follow them on Facebook and start interacting with their posts, right? Because there's going to be somebody behind that account managing it. And if at some point they do end up hiring for a role and you end up applying, chances are they're probably going to recognize your name. And that's going to help you out because you're going to build a bit of a relationship with that brand already. So I would definitely recommend for you to do that too. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next app we have here is TikTok. So some of you may be familiar with TikTok. TikTok is a video sharing app that allows users to create videos, mainly short form videos, about 30 to 60 seconds long. Now, I know what you're thinking, TikTok is what my kids use, or TikTok is a dancing app. Yes, it is. But it's also so much more. TikTok is full of people creating videos on all different topics across all different industries, sharing value, sharing knowledge. And also, another thing that's important to note is hundreds of brands and employers are also on there. And they have their own company pages, which also brings more unique opportunities, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide. Okay, so you still may be a bit confused, how on earth can I use TikTok to help with my job search? Well, here are two things that you can do. So one of my favorite parts of TikTok is the ability to really just gain an insight into any industry and also get different types of advice on every topic. So one of my favorite kind of trends, which has started going around on TikTok, is a day in the life videos. So maybe if you are somebody that has just finished university and you're not sure what you want to do, or say if you are somebody that is looking to change careers and you have an idea of, okay, maybe I'm interested in this job role, but am I, is it right for me? TikTok is actually a really good way to find out because it's actually full of hundreds of people posting these day in the life videos that give other people watching the videos an insight into what it's actually like to work in that role. For example, I took a screenshot here. I did a day in the life of a project manager. There was literally hundreds of videos of people from all around the world in all different companies sharing what it's like to work as a project manager. So I would recommend those videos if you're kind of figuring out job roles and want an actual insight. It's a lot more effective than just going on Google and reading the responsibilities because you actually see what the role involves physically. And another piece of thing that you can do on TikTok, which is really good, is you can search for tips on absolutely anything. So here on the left, I've taken a screenshot. It says job interview tips. If you just put in a search as simple as that, again, you are going to come up with hundreds of videos from all different people sharing job interview tips. Of course, like everything online, right? You know, some of the tips aren't so good, but there are also lots of really, really valuable creators, career coaches, employers on there that are sharing tips. So just make sure you do your due diligence, and you know, you're not listening to like a 15-year-old who probably doesn't have that much job interview experience sharing their tips, unless it's to other 15-year-olds, of course. Okay, and the next feature or thing that you can do on TikTok, which I think is really cool, is interacting directly with employers, brands. So for example, here I've included a screenshot of Duolingo, so the language learning app. They are one employer and brand that is extremely active on TikTok. If you comment on their videos, they will comment back. If you tag them in a video, they will see it and they will comment back, which again, you know, if you were interacting with a brand on a regular basis, if you then go and apply for a job there, chances are, you know, they may recognize your name, or even in your cover letter, you could let them know that you've interacted with the brand, you've interacted with this person, and it's just going to be another thing that can help you stick out. And then finally, I have a screenshot on the right of a young lady. So she is actually, this is an example of a TikTok CV. So for some of you, you probably may be thinking, okay, I'd never do this. I can't think of anything worse. But it is actually a trend that has recently started where young people in particular are creating TikTok videos, video CVs, which they're kind of then linking to their cover letter or their job application. And obviously in a video, you kind of, your personality can come through a lot stronger. So if you are somebody that is up for trying something new, would definitely recommend hopping onto TikTok, searching things like TikTok CV or TikTok resume to get some inspiration. And yeah, that's just another example of something, a cool way of boosting your employability using TikTok. Okay, so now I'm going to hand over to Oliver, who is going to be sharing you some of his top tips on what employers are looking for.
And just before we have Oliver speaking, I'd just like to thank you, Shoshana, for that really content-rich and really useful tips on how to use social media in your job search. And whether you are on here today as unemployed, even happily employed, self-employed, or somewhere in between, using social media to build your brand and get industry visibility can be really, really powerful. So thank you for those really useful tips, Shoshana. And I encourage the audience to take one or two of those things away and implement them today. Now I'd like to introduce Oliver. Oliver is one of Resource Advisors. He has a wealth of recruitment and interviewing experience gained from large and small companies, predominantly within the insurance industry. He's part of Resource's mock interview team, and he has conducted hundreds of mock interviews for us, and they're a vital part of a job seeker's preparations for their interview. So what employers are looking for? Please welcome Oliver Sanders. Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you very much, Lynn. And thank you so much for the interesting discourse that Shoshana's given us. And she gave us a good insight as to how you can use social media to look for a job. And I'm going to try and look at it the other way around. What does an employer look for and what they look at when they're looking at your social media presence? Now, clearly, when I started going for jobs 30 years ago, this wasn't an issue. But as a recruiter, as someone who looks at prospective employees, I am certainly looking at people's social media presence. I will be honest, it is largely LinkedIn, it is less TikTok, but that's just me, I guess. Don't let that put you off. So what the presence you leave on social media is going to be quite important. And I'm going to try and look at three main messages, three aspects for you today. I want to show you what employers are going to look at. I'm going to talk briefly through things I don't think they want to see at all, and then some things that you should do as a takeaway from this little short message. So let's have a look and see a couple of facts on this. Interesting. Not the slides I was going to share. Doesn't matter. We can cope. Just a couple of points to make at the beginning here. It is a fact that most employers, 93% of employers, will look at a candidate's social profile before making that hiring decision. So even if you haven't used it or referenced it in your CV or in your hiring, they will be checking it out. And I will go further than that. I will be personally, when I look meet a candidate, I might look at other presences online. So if someone talks to me about having set up their own local business or being part of a smaller company, I will look at Companies House and see what reference that they made to that as well. And 55% of employers admit that what they see online actually does make a big difference to the way they'll treat the application in the first place. So let me just jump straight now to see what employers would like to be able to see. So if we turn around, thank you. So if you have no presence, I think it would be very surprising. And I think that as a result, you should follow all the guidance that Shoshana's just given you about how you should present yourself and make sure you show it in the right way and be present. They will look for things that support your application, and they are looking for ways which try and illustrate what you said in your CV and the cover letter you've done, and maybe what they've seen on your interviews if you've already had an interview. What they are definitely want to make sure is that it supports, and you make reference to it, and it supports some of the things you're saying. If you can't be positive on your online references and your social media, what does that say about you and your ability to work within technology in general? So let's be careful about that. And I think that if you wanted to use your CVs, and I do see an awful lot of CVs now with people's social media handles on them, I think that's fine. I think it's very useful. Just make sure they're consistent. So what do employers not want to see then? So first of all, I mean, it's quite obvious, some of these points, and I don't think there'll be a great surprise to you, but you do see people making comments and doing things which are pretty close to the edge. So be very careful about bad-mouthing previous employers. You should never ever be rude about someone when you're going up in the lift. You never know when you're going to meet them going down again. So be very cautious about what you say about previous employers. Inappropriate or provocative photos, it's great to share. And I think I would again echo some of the things that Shoshana said. People are using LinkedIn more business casual than they are business formal. And therefore it might be tempting to show things about personal stories about your children or where you've been on holiday. You just have to remember that they are seen by a wide audience, and you want to make sure that they're seen in the right light. Discrimination, comments about race and religion, absolutely very, very cautious about what you see here. And I think that when you do make a comment and you do post something, make sure you put in a constructive tone. If it is seen as a rant, it might give you the impression to a prospective employer that that's your personality all over, rather than being something you feel passionately strongly about. So it is something that you want to be very careful about. And I think also to be careful about requests and accepting requests from work colleagues or your boss, because you want to make sure that they can see that you're mixing with the right sort of people that they want you to see with, and not with people who are probably at odds with potential company values. So what do we think you should do about this? What's the takeaway from this very short few minutes that I wanted to share with you? I think when you have your social media presence, go and ask a friend to log in and go and see what they can see of you, and ask them their opinion, because what they see when they log in your profile is different from what you see. So this will give you a good approximation of what an employer might see. Second of all, I would do what they call the great aunt test. So if you were putting yourself in an elderly relative's point of view, would they see anything that they thought might cause offense, that wasn't polite, that wasn't respectful? And thirdly, you might want to make sure that anything that might be contentious is removed. So do go through some of your posts and delete anything that might be questionable, and make sure that none of those drunken photographs from university are still there. And if you are one of those people that use multiple profiles, then do make sure they're consistent across all the channels. You don't want to appear to be one thing in one channel, another thing in another channel, and something quite different on the CV that you've sent to them. And I think this is important to bear in mind as we get more and more into people like putting more and more things on social media. Just before I leave you, I think there's a salutary lesson that can be learned about how sensitive some of this is, and that is, there's a recent case, as we might remember, from the National Union of Students, who in November 2022, so very recently, they actually dismissed their president, Shamima Dalali, for something that she posted 10 years before on Twitter, which was deemed to be inappropriate. And so these things that you might think are a long time ago, they are enduring, and they can have an effect on you. So I would be very cautious about, as you go into your working career or you're carrying on your working career, do bear in mind what you are putting on posts, do bear in mind how you are using your social media, and bear in mind that it is a window that the employers will use. And here's just a long list of ideas that you might like to look at and when you're sort of checking your own social media and doing your own audit. I wish you the very best of luck, and I hope that helps. Over to you, Lynn.
Thank you for that, Oliver. Really, really useful tips, and I hope you've been able to take that away. Some really important things that we do need to remember. And both Shoshana and Oliver will be back for the question and answer session a little bit later. And I realise that some of you are having trouble trying to find the chat. If you minimise your screen, you'll find the chat box is a little speech bubble. So if you minimise your screen, you'll find the chat box as a speech bubble. So please do put your questions through if you couldn't find it before. So thanks very much. So we've done the social media part, and now we're going to look at artificial intelligence and how to use it in your job search. Now, love AI or hate it, it's here to stay, and it's going to become more and more embedded and ingrained into our day-to-day work and into our lives, certainly as job seekers. And so today I'm going to have my colleague who's going to actually introduce us to ChatGPT, one of the most common ones at the moment. There will be others, I'm sure, coming through the ranks, coming through the lines, but we're going to talk about ChatGPT today. Just one little caveat though, it's not going to replace all the hard work that you need to put in when you're doing a job search. It is useful if English isn't your first language, if you're not so comfortable in writing things. It will absolutely have its uses. It could help write a cover letter, for example, but it's not going to replace all the hard work that you do need to put in, but it will certainly help you on the way. So I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Ben Biedelstein, to take you through AI and ChatGPT. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ben and I am a resource team member. This is a brief outline of how to use the new OpenAI, also known as ChatGPT, to write a cover letter. This tool is extremely useful for how to properly draft a cover letter that describes your attributes as well as keeps your information concise. However, the ChatGPT feature cannot write your full cover letter to the exact standard it may need to be. Therefore, I suggest coming into Resource to learn more of how to finalize the CV for your future career. It should be stated that it is not a perfect tool and does consist of minor flaws, such as American spelling. However, it is still extremely useful. Additionally, ChatGPT does not always give the same response, which you may see occur while watching this video. Let's get started. In order to initiate ChatGPT to write a cover letter, we must preface clearly that we would like one. For instance, please write a cover letter for a job stressing my skills in communication, prioritizing, and creativity. Here you can see it is coming up with a suggested cover letter. It should be stated it is using American spelling. After quickly reading over this, I would like the cover letter to also state that I'm really good at listening. I want it to say that I'm really good at listening empathically. So, that's good, but can you stress in the communication section that I have a natural ability to listen empathically to others. So you can see this giving me a nice, positive new response for the cover letter, which should include my listening skills in it. And as you can see earlier, it brought that up. So I also wanted to include something about my prioritizing skills and how it saved my company 10,000 pounds as I worked over the weekend. This instance will give good insight on how my prioritizing initiative will be invaluable to the success of whomever the employer is you intend to apply for. So, in the prioritizing section, please add an example of when I worked through the weekend to get a rush job done, which ultimately saved over 10,000 pounds. And as you can see, it's giving me that nice new response. It's moving very quickly. Sometimes ChatGPT will be a little slower with its generation of responses, so you just be aware of that. Perfect. And as you can see right there, it brought up that instance I wanted it to bring up, which was the 10,000 pounds. Perfect. So I also want the cover letter to sound a little more enthusiastic as well, just overall. So I'm gonna write, also, can we add in something that suggests I have a great idea for them on how to open a new business area. All right, so I'd like more enthusiasm for the job in the final paragraph. Also, can we add in something that suggests I had a great idea for them on how to open a new business area? All right, so now that I have a draft letter that gives clear detail of what I'd like it to say about my skills, I can do a final revision on word framing and any other adjustments that need to be made with a resource advisor. Thank you so much for watching and listening.
Wow, fascinating. The days of writer's cramp are long gone. Thank you for that, Ben. It's certainly going to be useful in our job search, so do think about that. And while I'm here, I'd like to remind you about an event that we've got coming up next month. So many of you often post CVs on jobs boards. That's also managed by artificial intelligence. There's lots of algorithms that actually may prevent your CV from getting through to the recruiter. And so we are having a session on understanding and how to beat the algorithms so your CV does get through to the recruiter. That's going to be on Thursday, the 27th of April. It will be online and it's open to everyone. So I hope that you will join us. If you would like to, please call the office and the details for that, or email the office, and the details for that will be at the end. Thank you. And thank you, Ben, for sharing that with us. I think we really enjoyed doing that, but thank you. That was really useful and really insightful what AI can do for us all. And now I'm going to move on to how we can use networking, face-to-face networking in our job search as well. There we go. We just go back. Okay, just go back one. Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about face-to-face networking. We've heard about social media, we've heard about AI, all helpful in your job search. But at some point, we are going to have to do face-to-face networking. And it's still really, really valuable. Despite COVID and being in lockdown, we still need to meet people, talk to people. So what is networking? What is networking? In very simple terms, it's communication, whether it's the written word or the spoken word. It is communication. Who here likes to network? Doesn't like to network? Or think they've never really networked? For those of you who don't like networking or think you've never really networked, let me change that to having conversations. . because we all have conversations all the time. People we know, friends and family, people who are just acquaintances, and sometimes people we don't know at all. And we have conversations all over the place. It could be at a dinner table, it could be walking the dog, it could be at a party, it could be even standing in the queue at the theatre. And conversations become all the more important when you're job hunting. So networking, it's about meeting people. And we do that all the time and have conversations with them. And it's sharing information. And again, we do that all the time. You might buy a mobile phone and someone says, wow, I love the camera on that. That's so cool. Where did you get it from? Can it be SIM only? What was the cost? Is there a good deal? All sorts of questions. And we share information all the time. When we're talking about ourselves, it comes a little bit more challenging. But if we don't promote how good we are in the same way we might do a mobile phone, other people aren't going to know about us. So we do have to promote ourselves in a very positive and a very good light. And that does mean saying some examples about what we've done and our capabilities. And also it's about making introductions. And actually, we probably do that more than you actually realize. I was at an International Women's Day event yesterday. I got talking to someone I'd never met before. Then someone else came up. I just introduced the two of them. We actually do this social activity a lot more than we probably think we do. So networking is about meeting people, sharing information, and making introductions. But why are conversations important when we're job hunting? Up to 70% of jobs come through the hidden job market. What's the hidden job market? It could be where a job is a volunteer post that becomes permanent, work experience that becomes permanent, temp work that becomes permanent. It could be where a job is not even advertised, but someone will say, oh, do you know there's a job going? They're looking for people, but they haven't got a budget to advertise. It could be where they don't even know they want you until they meet you. And that actually happened to a client of ours recently. So there's a huge amount of a hidden job market, which is why you need to talk to as many people as possible of all ages, of all industries, and make those connections. And they can be your network and keep their eyes and ears out for you. Because so many jobs come through that route. And sometimes we forget to talk to the people that are close to us. We had a client who was looking for a new opportunity. That same day, one of my colleagues came into the office with a job description. I looked at the job description, I looked at the client, and I thought, I think there's a match. Now, the job description didn't have a company name, but it did have an industry and it did have a location. The client looked at the job description and said, I think that's my cousin's business. Oh, do you know your cousin? Yes, we have coffee every 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. Does he know you're looking for a new opportunity? Probably. Does he know what you do? He probably thinks I'm still the IT guy. I said, IT? He said, well, I was 20 years ago, but you're in operations now. He said, yes, you need to have a coffee with your cousin. And they've been working together ever since. And I've got a lot more examples, so many examples of where family members just don't talk to each other. So that's why conversations are so important. So how can contacts help? It's what I call the 3 I's: information, introductions, and ideas. Information, it could be about an industry, a company, a job role, the culture of an organization, someone looking at your CV. There's so much information that can be shared. And then introductions, because people in industry know more people in industry, and people outside your immediate circle know people, other people that you don't know that may have connections into the areas that you're looking for. And ideas. Not everyone knows what they want to do next, so they can help you. A lot of people come to me and say, I want to go into finance. Wealth management, accountancy, risk, insurance, what part? So sometimes narrowing that down by talking to different people can be really helpful. Ideas, it could be where to meet and to network. All sorts of ideas could be useful. Have you thought, is there a gap in your CV or some training help? What sort of training would be valuable? So think of the 3 I's: information, introduction, and ideas. And remember, you're not asking for a job. If you ask for a job, what will happen? You shut down the conversation. But people are happy to share information. So ask for information. Yeah, you'll get to, I'm looking for a new opportunity, but that's not the first thing you ask. Don't ask for a job and shut the conversation down. Think of the 3 I's: information, introduction, and ideas. So what stops us networking? I break it into 2, the emotional and the physical. The emotional, I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm not updated with my skill set. I've lost my confidence. Everyone's better than me. So many emotional baggage gets in the way in our heads and in our stomachs. We feel all nervous and whatever, and we just don't think we're good enough. You are good enough. You absolutely are good enough. And sometimes stand up straight, put a smile on your face and fake it till you become it. You are if you've been in education, you've got your results, you're capable. If you've worked in the past, you've got skills. So fake it till you become it and deal with the emotional baggage and think of positive things that will help you go out there. But the one that I find most interesting is the physical. People get busy not networking, and I see it all the time. I had to take the dog for a walk. I had to paint my son's flat. I had to do shopping for the grandparents. I had to do this. I had to do that. I had to take the washing out the machine. You wouldn't believe the excuses that we get. I say network 20 minutes a day, just 20 minutes a day, social media and face-to-face. Make a connection on LinkedIn, meet someone for a coffee. Just do 20 minutes a day. And don't let your emotion and the physical, as in busy not networking, stop you from networking. Remember, it's just a conversation. So why do people agree to network and have those conversations? They generally and genuinely like to help. There's mutual benefit. We've had clients who we put in touch with networkers and hey, guess what? That person is interested in them to offer them a job. They could be in a similar position to you in the future, in the past, or even now. And think about it. No one ever thought when COVID hit that the airline industry and the travel industry would boom, stop. So people are very aware it could happen to themselves in any industry at any time. We just don't know why or how. So people are very willing and realize it could happen to them. And also sometimes they know the person that's introduced you and they like them, or they just simply like you. So it's really, really beneficial. We had a client who wanted to move from sales to fundraising. Now, to be fair, he'd never even shaken a tin, but he had a lot of transferable skills. And I'm sure if you want to change career, you will find you have a lot of transferable skills. And so he started to reach out to networkers. Resource helped him. He put him in touch with quite a few people who were fundraisers. And so he'd start to build up his knowledge. What should he put on his CV? What most important elements of his skill set should he bring to the fore? And he got talking to lots of people. Would you have a look at my CV? What's your feedback on my CV? Oh, thanks for the person you put me in touch with. That was a great contact. Would you like to meet for a coffee? Just kept building those connections and those relationships. And guess what? They were more than happy to say to him, you need to go for that job that's just come up in our company. And they were more than happy to say to the company, you need to meet this person. And yes, he had to go through the interview process, but he did get the job. So people do agree to network and they're happy to make connections and referrals. So it is very, very valuable. So what does networking and these conversations say about you? It says you are proactive, motivated, energized, enthusiastic. You're prepared to show your initiative. It shows your communication skills because you're speaking and communicating with people and you're willing to market yourself. Now, these are all the things that an employer wants to employ. We had a client who hadn't worked for 15 years and needed to get back into the workplace. She went for an interview And part of the interview was an Excel test. Can you imagine? She thought, oh my goodness, I haven't done Excel for years. It's probably like 15 versions more now. But she gave it a go. She used her initiative. 2 other people walked out. So of all the people they interviewed, they gave the role to the person with the initiative. It wasn't her dream job, but she had a job and she had new skills on top of the ones she already had. And she kept networking and talking to people. I'm building new skills all the time. My dream job would be, what do I need to do to get there? What skill, how do I need to skill up? And then she got another job and then another job. And she kept talking to people. I'm really skilled. I've got all these skills. My dream job would be, what do I need to get there? Who can help me? Any introductions? I can have conversations with people. An opportunity came up and people said, you need to apply for this job. And they went to the company and said, you need to interview this person. And so she went for the interview. She had to go through the process, but yes, she got the job and it is her dream job. And so you may not happen straight away, but use these skills because that's what networking conversations say about you. So what do you do and what do you say? First of all, as Shoshana said, everything has got more relaxed and more casual these days, but you still want to look like you're ready to work, not ready to give up. So think about your appearance. Make sure your hair is tidy and clean, your clothes are clean and tidy, and you don't go out in tatty jeans and t-shirts. Always look ready to work. You never know who you're going to meet or where you're going to meet them. And think positive thoughts. I said that a little bit earlier. It can be quite difficult in a job. You can get into this negative spiral. So keep thinking, I can do this, I'm capable, I've got the skills, and think positive language. So when you speak, positive language comes out, not, oh, I'm redundant, right? So think positive thoughts and be ready to have those conversations. So it may be someone you know, and they may say, so what are you doing now? So just say what you are. Just because you haven't been an accountant for a few months doesn't mean you're not an accountant anymore. I'm an accountant. I'm looking for a new opportunity. These are the sort of things that I can do. State your position positively. Who do you know I can have a conversation with? It's a conversation. You're not asking for a job. You're asking for advice, information, introductions. People will be happy to help. And if it's someone you don't know, say your name and what you are. So how can Resource help? We have advisors that will have one-to-one sessions with you. We have developing your networking skills seminar. We have monthly Get Connected evenings. One of those I've already mentioned, which is in April. And we're also the relationship team who can help connect you to people in industry. So have those conversations today and do start your networking. Thank you. All right, so we're now at the point of the session where we're going to do some questions. So hopefully Shoshana and Oliver will join me on stage, along with my colleague Jennifer, who's actually been fielding the questions on the chat. And I think some people might have emailed a few in. So if we could, I don't know if we can take the, that's great, that's fantastic. So Jennifer, do you have any questions for us?
Firstly, thank you, Lynn. That was really great. So let's move on to some questions from the audience. First one that just came in is actually for Shoshana. It says, do you think it's okay if I just use LinkedIn and Instagram, or do you think I need a presence across all social channels?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I don't think you need a presence across all social media channels unless you want to. I would say, you know, LinkedIn, definitely. I think, like Oliver said, if somebody applies for a job, chances are the recruiter or hiring manager is going to search for your LinkedIn. So it may look a little bit weird if you have no presence at all. So I would definitely say LinkedIn is a must-have. However, any of the other social platforms would just be, you know, add-ons, nice to haves. If you want to explore them, you can, but yeah, you don't need to be across everything. Absolutely not. It can get very stressful as well, being across everything. It's a lot of things to keep up with.
Yeah. Okay, the next one seems to be a more general question just around job search and interviewing, actually. Is it important to have questions prepared for the end of an interview? Oliver, can I pass this to you?
Yeah, sure, why not? Well, when you go into an interview, you may not know all the what they're going to ask you, but one thing I can almost assure you they're going to ask you is, have you got any questions for me right at the very end? So I would absolutely say that you need to prepare for those. And I normally suggest to people they come up with 5 and they write them down. Because you might find in the course of the interview, you'll have a conversation and you might find that some of the questions aren't relevant and you don't want to be stuck with nothing. I think the other thing about having those questions written down is it gives you an opportunity to demonstrate that you've prepared for the interview and you care enough to do that. So making a show of the fact, yes, I prepared and written them down is very useful. Those questions themselves need to be questions that you shouldn't know the answer to. So if the information is somewhere in the job description or it's somewhere on the website, it would look as if you haven't prepared enough if you ask that same question. But likewise, you don't want to ask a question which they can't answer or they won't answer. So asking their view, which is too broad and too strategic, or maybe commercially sensitive, it might be inappropriate. I always urge people to ask questions which are much more about what does good look like for me in this role? So what would you expect me to be doing and prove to be a success in this role in the first 3 months? What are some of the other people doing this role found as a challenge when they were getting up to speed? Things which are very pertinent and very much relevant to the role, but you shouldn't know otherwise.
Great, thank you, Oliver. So next question is, how do I keep motivated when I keep receiving rejection after rejection? Lynn, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll kick off, and I'm sure Oliver might want to chip in as well. It can be hard when you challenge when you get rejections. I'd first say make sure you're part of resource, because one of the things that our advisors do is help keep that motivation, keep that confidence up, and help you to understand maybe where you could do things differently next time. But also make sure you have a structure to your day. Make sure you have a structure to your day and that you're doing something every day towards your job search. All right, so maybe it's some volunteering. Maybe if you've got you just need half an hour a day. Half a day a week to do some volunteering. Because by doing something for someone else, it helps build your confidence. It helps build your social interaction again, and it helps build that you're doing something valuable for something else. The other thing I always say is actually find a way to have a laugh. You take some of the pressure off. That's personally, when I've been in that situation, that's what I've done. You know, even if you have to Google online for some corny jokes or go out with friends or something, but do something that will give you a bit of a laugh and have some light relief, which is really, really important. So get that balance between job hunting and actually having a bit of social time. But definitely have a structure to your day. Do something that makes you feel good. Do some volunteering if you have to, and find something that would add some light relief. Oliver, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would do. I would say on the basis, if you're getting the interviews, you're actually doing quite well, because many people don't even get those. So your job search is going very well. You've just got to hone some of your technique. And if it comes down to the interview technique itself, I'm afraid it's down to practice. So there's nothing better than taking a short video of you preparing one of your answers, playing it back, getting someone else to look at it. And eventually you will find the right job for you. And maybe the ones that you haven't got aren't the right ones anyway. So don't be too hard on yourself. And I would remember some things we've heard today. You must be positive and must sound positive, and remember that it is going to be you will get the right job eventually. You just have to work hard at it, and don't be down in the mouth on it.
And just to add, if you're not getting rejections from your CV, again, talk to resource, because are you just sending off the same CV to 100 different jobs? Because that's not going to get you a job. It does need to be specific to each job you're going for. It's a job to get a job, and you have to personalize each CV for each job you're going to make the organization realize that that is the job that you really, really want. So again, resource can help with that as well.
Lynn, that actually leads exactly into the next question. Why do I need a separate CV for each role I apply for?
Shall I take that, or Oliver, do you want to take that?
No, you start off.
I'll take that one, okay. Because you do, as I was saying, you do want to make sure you personalize it for that organization. So the organization knows it's specific. And you could apply for 2 jobs that are very, very similar, but they may have a very slightly different job description, where one company has A as the most important thing, and another company has A further down. So you need to look at the job description. You need to use the language of the organization that you're applying for. And no 2 companies have the same language. So in your response, in your CV and your cover letter, you want to use the language of the organization. All right, so do think about that. And if you're using ChatGPT, make sure you personalize it with your own language as well. All right, as was demonstrated there by Ben. So they're the points that I would suggest. And it's really important to actually make sure you do one for each type of role. Any points, Oliver, you want to add?
Yeah, just into as well as the job description, which will give you the competencies, some of their values of the companies which you'll find on the website might help you to frame it in the right tone. And I think it's a combination of those two things which will be relevant. And again, the different companies will have different expertise in areas maybe of law, of accountancy, or whatever job it is that they favor. So you might want to bring out different experiences when you're doing your star stories, when you're talking about your competencies that are particularly relevant to them.
Thanks.
Thank you. So another question just come in. I've heard that CVs are sometimes read by software. Is this correct? Lynn, do you want to start on this
Yeah,
one?
I will. If you remember, after we had Ben's great little video on ChatGPT, I actually mentioned about an event that we're running in April. It's to do with looking at the algorithms, because if you send to a jobs board like Indeed, there are algorithms, artificial intelligence, that will actually look at your CV and eliminate them. All right, so there is a way to actually understand and beat the algorithm. So like I said, if you want to understand that, do come to our event. It's online. I'll repeat it again, April the 27th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. There'll be a presentation for half an hour and an opportunity to network and ask questions. So yeah, absolutely. Algorithms and AI absolutely do look at your CV. And we need to understand how we can beat them.
Lovely. I think that's actually all the questions that we've just received in. Thank you very much. I hand back to you, Lynn.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Okay. That actually brings us to the end of our day today. So I want to give a massive thank you to Jennifer, and also a huge thank you to our guest, our keynote, Shoshana. Really great. So the information that has come through has been fantastic. And also to Oliver on those tips that employers want to see, such useful things to remember. And for Ben also for giving us that fantastic example of what's to come with AI and ChatGPT. So for those of you who are saying, well, actually, I would like to come to Resource, and we'll put the slide up in a minute with the details on it. We will put you in touch with a one-to-one advisor, all right? And they will help you all the way through your journey. We help with CVs, elevator pitches, networking skills, mock interviews. Oliver does a lot of those. So we absolutely help you all the way. And there's lots of other seminars as well and webinars that we can actually help you with in your job search. Be it's an application online, doing a cover letter, whatever it is, we can absolutely help. And as I said at the beginning, we're professional, confidential, extremely supportive, and our services are free. Have we got the slide? Have we got the slide? Georgia, have we got the slide? Yep, okay, we can make that just that. We just need to get to the last slide. Okay, there we go. We'll have to go through all the more. Quick. There we go. Almost there, almost there. Couple more. There we are, great. So if you want to call us, the numbers on the screen is 020-8346-4000, and you'll speak to three of our very, very friendly office staff. That will be either Lisa, Jessica, or Joe. They'd be more than happy to take your call. Or if you prefer, do send an email, hello@resource-centre.org. And if you want to find, or you could use our live chat, which is www.resource-centre.org. Now today, the session was videoed, but only for the speakers, so don't worry. And if you want to see the recording, it's been uploaded to www.resource-centre.org/social media event, and that'll be up by the end of day tomorrow. So I want to thank all our speakers again, Shoshana, Oliver, Ben, Jennifer, and also to thank you, the audience, for sending in your questions, for listening today, and I wish you the very, very best of luck, whether using social media, AI, face-to-face, taking those tips to interview, whatever you're doing. I wish you the very, very best of luck in your job search, and Resources here to help if you need us. Thank you very much. 30 seconds.